Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live money use up at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Beatrice Adu.
This evening, organized labor declares indefinite strike effective Thursday, October 10, in response to government's failure to ban small-scale mining.
Tonight, we'll find out if the government will yield to this pressure.
Also this evening, Electoral Commission says it has resolved all irregularities in the provisional voters register as it assures to deliver credible elections come December 7. We have details of what happened at the IPAC meeting earlier today and whether the political parties are satisfied with the assurance from the Electoral Commission. Stay with us.
And much later, presidential candidate of the NDC, John Mahama, engages clergy, charging them to show interest in social-political activities.
We remain your election command center as we keep tabs on the run-up to December 7th presidential and parliamentary elections, and also still with issues related to the elections. UTAG is making a strong and bold demand of political parties to declare their stance on the fight against illegal mining. We're getting to the details of that, plus the latest in business and sport over the next 1 hour, 30 minutes here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
But for now, though, Safwa Buahine is here with a summary of the news. Safwa, what do you have?
Thank you, Beatrice, and welcome to the news summary segment. Chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana, EC, Jane Mensah, says the EC has cleaned the voters register for the 2024 general elections. She said this during her opening remarks on Tuesday's Inter-Party Advisory Committee IPAC meeting. She noted that the Commission has recently cleaned up errors detected in the voters register. The meeting comes at the back of concerns raised by the NDC for a forensic audit of the voters register due to alleged discrepancies the party says it has detected. Organized labor declares nationwide strike on 10th October 2024. The strike is to demand that government bans galamsey and small-scale mining. The spokesperson of Organized Labor, Joshua Ansah, has urged all workers to join in the strike. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has instructed all member campuses to prepare for voting on whether to proceed with a nationwide industrial strike due to the government's failure to respond to both UTAG's and Organized Labor's calls for decisive action on the ban. The association is hoping that the president would heed to the numerous calls and act decisively to end the menace before his tenure of office ends. A final failed poll conducted by the Global Info Analytics nearly 2 months before December 2024 says the presidential candidate of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, maintains his lead in the poll with 51.1% of the vote. The vice president and the flag bearer of the NPP New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, had 37.3%. Alan Chermantin, an independent candidate and the leader of the Movement for Change, had 4.1%, and Nana Kwame Bediako, another independent candidate and also the leader for the New Force, had 6.2%, and the others also had 1.3%. And to our last story ahead of the 2024 elections, the economy, jobs, and education remain the top issues for voters according to the poll conducted by the Global Info Analytics. 70% of the issues cited as important was the economy, followed by jobs 62% and education 48%. The survey states that the current economic conditions of voters will have a greater influence on the outcome of the December elections. And this brings us to the end of the news summary segment. And over, Beatrice.
Thank you very much, Safwa Buahine. Let's bring you details of our stories now, and the hottest now. Organized labor has declared a nationwide indefinite strike starting from October 10. Now, this is in response to demand for an outright ban on all forms of small-scale mining as a measure to halt the illegal mining menace in the country. The decision was announced a few hours ago after a crunch meeting by the labor unions. Organized labor had given the government a deadline of September 30, that was yesterday, to ban mining of all forms and also declare a state of emergency to tackle the menace. Joshua Ansah is the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, TUC. Just listen to him.
We have invited you here this afternoon to make our position on our demands sent to the government on the 11th of September 2024 known to to you so that you can publicize it the way we say it. I read, Organized Labour Ghana press statement, October 1st, 2024. Organized Labour met at an emergency meeting today, October 1st, 2024, following the expiration of our deadline and the failure of government to meet our demands on illegal mining, that is Galamsey. Organized Labour has decided to declare a nationwide strike with effect from October 10th, 2024. We are therefore calling on all workers to stay at home starting Thursday, October 10, 2024, until government accedes to our demands. Thank you for your attention.
And you heard that the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress there speaking to the media after that. Let me read a statement that also came just after that meeting and this address. And it said, Organized Labour met at an emergency meeting today, October 1, 2024, following the expiration of our deadline and the failure of the government to meet our demand on illegal mining, i.e. Galamsey. Organized Labour has directed to declare a nationwide strike with effect from October 10, 2024. We are therefore calling on all workers to stay at home starting Thursday, October 10, 2024, until the government accedes to our demands. Signed by Joshua Ansah, Secretary General. The man you just heard talk, Isaac Bampoado, Chairman of the Forum, and there's Kenneth Kumsin, Deputy Secretary General, Ghana Federation of Labour. So that's where we are now. Daniel Opoko is our Labour Affairs correspondent. He sat through this meeting. Daniel, I know you were there even before the meeting started because we spoke this afternoon before that meeting. But tell us who and who were at this meeting, first of all, before we go into the nitty-gritties.
Right. So, Beatrice, we have 3 Labour centres. We have the leadership of TUC, led by the Secretary General, Mr. Joshua Ansah. You also have Mr. Isaac Bampo, who is the leader of the Forum. Then Ken Kumsi, the leader of the Ghana Federation of Labour. There are other leaders. You have the General Secretary of the Construction and Building Materials Workers, Mr. Samuel. They also have the Deputy Secretary General, Dr. Kwabena Yakotu. We also saw Musa, the General Secretary of NAT. Then, unfortunately, the leadership of NAGRAT had to send a delegation. Then I also spotted the President of the Coalition Consent, a host of other, Professor Jampo was also there to represent UTAG and his president. And then the leadership of TEWO and the leadership of the Ghana Registered Nurses Mutual Association, all of them were in the meeting this afternoon.
And is there a roadmap leading to the declaration of this indefinite strike on the 10th?
In fact, what actually happened in the meeting was that it was a closed-door meeting, 1. And 2, there were those in the meeting who believed that the strike should begin tomorrow. And the other Brits also said, let's give ourselves some time so that we could seek the approval of our councils before we be able to proceed on this. So the roadmap is that by 10th of October, that's next week Thursday, if government within this space from tomorrow up to the 10th of October, government does not come in immediately, obviously Labour may have to put all its tools down. Now, we want to talk about organized Labour. We have 2 branches. You have those who are situated within the public service, then those who are also in the private sector. Now, within the public service, we have close to 700,000 of them. And then we have within the informal economy, a chunk of them who are also members of the ICU. When of them come together and drop their tools, then obviously we are going to have difficult situation on our house. So government has from now till 10th of October to be able to resolve the problem.
So that is what the government is expected, kind of some grace period before this happens. But
that's what exactly Labour has given government. So ideally, if they had started a strike, or they should strike right from tomorrow, the government will not have any further grace period to engage them. But once they said 10th of October, that means the government may have to engage. So they have from today, tomorrow up to next week for them to have that positive engagement before they be able to resolve the problem.
You talked about over 7,000 members.
700,000.
700,000 members of this. I mean, just paint a picture for us. What we're likely to see should they proceed on the 10th.
So when you look at the whole sector, we have the nurses. The nurses, they have close to 19 to 20,000. When want to look at the civil service, who are the holders of government machinery, who look at the run of government business. They have about 60 to 60,000 of them nationwide. You also have the public services workers union, also have a nexus of 20,000. Then you have the leadership of the Ghana Medical Association, who are more than 5,000. You have JUSAC, who are more than 6,000 of them. When all these associations and unions come together, obviously you have a problem. And these are the very people who initially under the DDEP had intended to drop their tools, but unfortunately government came in and was able to forestall that occurrence. So currently, if government does not resolve the problem now we speak, then obviously means that from 10th of October, we are likely to have a major problem in our hands. In case of ICU, Mr. Morgan Ayawin, the General Secretary of ICU, he's been saying that if government does not step in immediately, then obviously we are going to have a problem. So for them, you have a lot of the members who are within the private form. When we talk about private form, like for instance, like TV3. TV is a private formal institution. They do not necessarily are not directly involved in the public service. A lot of these people are under the ICU. So when all of them should join the strike, including the Ghana private the transport operators, all of them being part of the strike, then we have a problem, Beatrice.
Thank you very much. I think we can listen to the representative of the ICU
the General
who
Secretary
spoke.
of ICU, Mr. Morgan Ayawini.
Indeed.
Yes.
It has gotten to a crescendo, and therefore organized labor that gives hope to Ghanaian workers, to Ghanaians who will not sit aloof and allow this destruction to take our soil, our water bodies. As leaders, spokespersons for organized labor, and for that matter, various constituencies, locals, institutions, public boards and corporations, and what have you. We've got to wake up from our slumber and take a decision. And indeed, on the 11th of September, organized labor met and took a gallant step that we must wake up so that we'll be counted, because Ghanaians expect us to take the lead and do the needful.
And you heard the General Secretary of ICU, Morgan Ayawini. And Daniel, I know beyond organized labor and this impending strike, as it were, against illegal mining, there are a group of teacher unions as well that are also embarking on a strike beyond the Galamsey issue. Can you tell us more?
So these are teachers who are pre-tertiary. That's, for instance, the Ghana National Association of Teachers. You have the National Association of Graduate Teachers and the College of Concerned Teachers. Their members have begun what you call nationwide demonstration, asking for government to quicken the pace to conclude these negotiations under conditions of service. Unfortunately, there's a portion of the conditions who talks about deprived allowance, about 20%, that has not been able to be agreed on. So it's the reason they have decided to begin the demonstration. Hopefully tomorrow is Wednesday. If government does not step in, then obviously we are going to see a strike on the leadership of the teachers' front. Today, Tewu was in a meeting, and then the senior staff was also in a meeting with the sector minister of education. He's been able to engage all these sector unions trying to resolve the problem. One, if he's able to succeed, then obviously we don't see any strike traveling beyond Thursday. Other than that, we are going to see strike getting into next week.
Other than that, there will be trouble. Thank you very much, Daniel Opoku, Labour Affairs correspondent, and we'll try and bring you some more on this as and when we have it.
It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Y and beyond. We're keeping tabs on the aftermath of that Inter-Party Advisory Committee IPAC meeting earlier today, and the reactions from the political parties that were present in there, and whether the questions that they had have also been answered by the Electoral Commission. But let's still stay the steam a bit further on the issues related to illegal mining. Galamsey, as we're hearing now, that TUC has given that notice October 10, which is just 9 days away from today. They're striking. And we're seeing some 700,000 members of organized labor laying down their tools. University Teachers Association of Ghana have also reiterated their commitment to embark on industrial action if the government fails to declare a state of emergency of the country's deteriorating water bodies due to illegal mining, widely known as Galamsey. Seta Blosso is also a labor expert. He's been following this quite closely, is joining us on the telephone. Ms. Abloso, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Now, clearly, organized labor, going by their word and also the indication they gave some 3 weeks ago, the meeting and its outcome today is that by October 10, they're laying down their tools and sending that strong message that government has failed in declaring the state of emergency on the issues of illegal mining as was expected. What would be the impact of this on October 10 going forward?
Thank you. If government does not revise its position and show clearly that it cares about the deteriorating conditions in our environment, in particular as caused by illegal mining, our economic situation is going to get worse with the general. And it's important that case and for instance that it is prepared to accede to the demand.
Hello, Ms. Abloso?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you briefly. You're saying that the government must show the indication that it is prepared to meet the demands of organized labor?
Yes. In fact, we should have come to this because it's obligatory on government that it has to preserve the environment, conserve our forests, and ensure that we have our river bodies are clean and not unadulterated, so it doesn't affect the production of potable water. So the call for declaration of a state of emergency is right and proper. That President Akrofi Adu heeds this call and puts such a measure in place.
See, and
I can't imagine the devastating impact and that can arise from a general strike. And we shouldn't let this happen. And persons who are close to the president need to speak to him that in the dying minutes of his tenure, he shouldn't leave Ghana worse than he met it. Yeah.
And in fact, while we are at it, consistently we are seeing organized labor, as it were now, realizing and flexing its muscles when it comes to also wading into issues of national concern. So right from the issues of the attempted sale of some hotels owned by SNIT, organized labor was clear on their stance. They flexed their muscles. That transaction did not go through. Now we are seeing them also coming into the fore when it comes to issues of illegal mining and getting directly involved in there and saying, you know what, if government, you don't show this level of concern, we're going on strike. What does that tell you? I mean, with this new renaissance we are seeing on the part of labor?
It tells clearly that labor has woken up to its obligations, not only to workers, but to the people of Ghana and residents in Ghana generally. And that they are going beyond issues of salaries per se. Because look, as far back as June 2020, we have had a report from Professor Yan Chemwabedu committee which has shown that public sector workers are not working in dignity. The salaries they are receiving is not what can ensure dignified living, and has called on government to take urgent steps to address the disparities. Government has done nothing. Even that one alone, it calls for a general strike. But they are not spoken about affecting Ghana, the generality of the population, and even unborn babies. that we are recording deformities, deformed babies in several hospitals. What else should move the president to declare a state of emergency to halt the further deterioration? So Lima is on the right track, and they need to be commended for showing that when it comes to the crunch, labor can be depended on.
So I also appreciate your time on this matter. Thank you so much. Seta Bloso is a labor expert, also monitoring labor's front on this particular issue of illegal mining and the call on government to declare state of emergency.
Let's say a bit longer on this, because former Attorney General Ayikwe Otu also says that both the NDC and NPP have failed at dealing with this illegal mining issue because they have the interests of their parties at heart rather than that of Ghana. He spoke on Agenda with me last night on TV3.
I think what people are missing is whether the fact that you want to do some kind of job to exist means you can decide that you can do any kind of job. In other words, you cannot come and tell me that as for you are an armed robber and that's what you do for a living, and we should allow you to continue to do that. Because at the end of the day, the thing breaks down to, but they need to exist, they need to find a living. Can you just do any kind of job, which we call a living, even when you see the effects such that, it's affecting everybody? Is that a job that we must encourage? That's the issue to me. If you think Ghanaians are part owners of our natural resources and people come from outside to come and mine, so allow them also to do some small-scale mining. Is that what we told them to go and do? Was this what the others were doing before they came? And why do we, at this stage, find things so hard and difficult? It's so bad. The expert has already told you what we are facing.
But the thief will not say that, well, because it's against the law, I will not steal. So it has to be the government or those in authorities to ensure that we enforce our laws. And I'm glad you're a former Attorney General.
Exactly the point.
We have failed to enforce our laws, and so it was right.
Exactly the point I'm making. And don't put it on one government. Don't put it on one government. When NPP came to power, they started working on Galamsey. They started telling those young men to find other jobs. They brought in palm seeds, asking them to go and grow palm. They were doing something about it. So what was that government also doing within the period? You saw all the kind of social media, stories about when MPP is saying stop it, and NDC saying go ahead. If they arrest you, we'll come and give you, what is it, amnesty and things like that.
And we'll go into...
Don't put it on anybody. We are all, as a group, to blame for what has happened.
Yeah. And you heard that former Attorney General Ayikwe Otu speaking on Agenda last night. Meanwhile, security consultant with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Professor Kwesi Ening, seems to have lost hope in the government fight against illegal mining. He was also on the program. That you don't expect it, but personally, what do you expect from them, really?
Who?
From the actors, those who are supposed to ensure that things are done properly.
I don't expect anything.
You don't expect anything?
Look, let's be real. Benedicta has given us a very optimistic and I think the proper thing. As a nation, we need to hope. But we've passed that. We need a set of measures that makes it unprofitable to flout the rules. Normally when people talk about weak states, fragile states, they are deliberate methodologies by elites or elite settlements to ensure that the state does not work. So were we to ban, don't look as the people of Ghana will ban. Because when Benedicta says it's become an existential threat, what it means in political science terms is that we need extraordinary measures beyond the normal realm of politics to be able to deal with that problem. But those who should be moving the conversations and the policy beyond the normal realm of politics themselves are involved.
And you heard that a security consultant, Professor Kwesieni, who is also with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. He was on Agenda on TV3. And Agenda on TV3 airs every Monday at 9 p.m. with me. Make a date.
It's live here on Hot Edition and here on your Election Command Center. The Electoral Commission says it has resolved all irregularities in the Provisional Voters Register, thus assuring to deliver a credible final register for the December elections. It follows the National Democratic Congress's claim that the voters' roll is currently fraught with irregularities, including unlawful transfer intended to disenfranchised citizens. The party has since called for a forensic audit to clean the document to ensure that it is fit for purpose on December 7. Now, speaking during the Interparty Advisory Committee IPAC meeting earlier today, Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jane Adu, admitted the irregularities in the provisional register, but says these have been resolved through the Electoral Commission's internal processes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you agree with me that as with any human endeavor, such as the registration of voters, there are bound to be discrepancies. One cannot expect that a provisional register will be perfect. It is for that reason that Regulation 23 and 24 of CI 91 provide clear, well-defined pathways to cure and deal with likely anomalies that are bound to arise from the provisional voters register, including missing names, errors in biographical data, the existence of deceased persons on the register, incorrect designation of polling stations, among others. These are some of the issues which formed part of the NDC's presentation to the Electoral Commission. As stated earlier, these errors are not unusual. They are the typical errors that arise out of any registration process, and they are age-old legal and administrative processes to correct them. All it takes is a conscientious effort and time, and the Electoral Commission has employed both. As a commission, we have devoted the last few weeks to correct the discrepancies, and you will find that the provisional voters register today is different and more accurate than what was exhibited and provided to the parties in August 2024.
As chair of the Electoral Commission there, she also says the current legal processes allow for thorough cleanup of the register without third-party involvement. Listen to EC Chair explaining the processes leading to the cleansing of the register.
The Commission has a track record and is globally respected for delivering free, fair, credible, and transparent elections and electoral processes. And this includes the compilation of the Provisional Voters Register. Our staff are well trained and have the capacity and the competencies, as well as the skills to undertake the task of producing a final and credible voters register. We certainly do not require external assistance in our line of work. By way of information, there exist legal and administrative processes that we follow from the registration exercise until the final voters register is produced. Right after the registration exercise, we institute what we call the district registration review committees, who sit in all districts to hear challenge cases presented by the citizenry.
Well, that's Jane Adu Ocansey is the chair of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. Meanwhile, the governing New Patriotic Party has dismissed NDC's call for an audit. Justin Frimpong Kodia is General Secretary of the NPP. Also spoke at the IPAC meeting earlier today.
Not long ago, certain people were asked to hit the street to demonstrate against the Electoral Commission based on what they perceive to be discrepancies and an attempt to rig the election for the New Patriotic Party. Upon several calls from key stakeholders that if NDC indeed have legitimate concerns to raise, we even asked them to do a press conference, invite all of us, walk us through all the allegations that they are talking about. Today, as we speak, the NDC is yet to give those so-called allegations and discrepancies to the Electoral Commission. That will be on record. And for me, I challenge them that all those allegations that they are making and how the Electoral Commission will be able to address the issue, they don't have any further allegations. If indeed they do have it, they should bring it forth for us to interrogate it and see whether the Electoral Commission has addressed it or not. It's not a question about having a leaking roof and mopping your floor. It's about the data, what you presented to the Electoral Commission. The whole people of Ghana want to see it. And that is the comment APC made. That even the request for forensic audit is needless at this point because we are yet to see those allegations that you are talking about. And the Electoral Commission has said that they are going to furnish us with the cleanup that they have done. So, Madam Chair, we also want to know from you when we can have the revised exercise that you have done so that we can also have another look. It is afterward that if there is a need for us to convey again, then the issues that you are talking about, we can even think about or even consider. But at this point, we are asking you, NDC, challenge the presentation by the Electoral Commission and let all of us know.
Now, as General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong Kodia there, the NDC is not impressed with the Electoral Commission's assurances. Now, Dr. Mane Boama is NDC's Director of IT and Elections. He spoke at that IPAC meeting earlier today as well.
The EC's chair's concluding remarks, she spent over 75% of the time on trust. The 35 questions that we asked in relation to the stolen BVR kits, have they answered them? They've not answered them. If you have a child who goes to school, okay, after university, master's level, making the kind of arithmetic errors that the EC makes, okay, in the 2020 presidential election results, they declared, made a mistake, corrected it, and corrected another mistake. How can we trust them? Again, the plethora of anomalies that we have enumerated and their own acceptance, only to justify some with the fact that after their further checks, they have identified that A, B, and C. Why can anyone trust them? We have shown to them and we are proving to them that when your roof is leaking, you don't just keep on mopping. The Electoral Commission is leaking. The IT system is leaking. You heard the question that we asked. Can people have access to the login credentials? They said yes. You heard them. So people can have access to the login credentials. How can we trust such an Electoral Commission? They want us to just accept the voters register that they will be submitting to us. But that is only one leg. The other leg is what caused it? Because if we just accept it, just imagine in November, if the same criminals who ensured these criminal and illegal changes, okay, were effected, if they are still there, if the systems are not strengthened, if the systems are not enhanced, can they still go back and reenact, or even in its worst form, the very situation that we are seeing? That is what we are dealing with.
What is this 2 p.m. meeting that you spoke about? What is it going to discuss? And the next line of actions, what options are you keeping to the table?
The NDC has a functioning executive committee meeting And this petition is the key item that we are discussing. We believe the outcome of our meeting will be made known to the public in due course.
As Dr. Edward Omaneboama, he is the Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. He talks about the 2 p.m. meeting. We have information that meeting is ongoing as we speak. The Functional Executive Committee of the NDC is in a crunch meeting after the IPAC meeting earlier today. In fact, the representatives of the NDC in that IPAC meeting are that Functional Executive Committee meeting now addressing that meeting and then also giving them updates on what happened at the IPAC meeting today. Let's stay a bit further on this matter because Reverend Dr. Kwabena Oponne Frimpong, who is a former General Secretary of the Christian Council of Ghana and a lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST, in fact also a senior member of a group of election observers in this country, is joining us on the telephone. Reverend Dr. Oponne Frimpong, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Alfred, good evening, and let me say good evening to your cherished viewers and your team.
Let me first establish this, that you were at the IPAC meeting earlier today, correct?
Sure, from the beginning to when the closing prayer was said.
Would you say that the parties who went there were indeed convinced and satisfied with the Electoral Commission's answers and they left there with some level of assurances based on your own observations?
Well, Alfred, I've been attending IPAC meetings for some time now, years. And the meeting today was very healthy and assuring. I want to commend the EC and all the political parties, especially the National Democratic Congress. They call for this meeting, especially the involvement of the media in IPAC meeting. They call for it. And they raise certain issues, key issues for EC that were answered, or the major item on the agenda today. And we pray and hope moving forward that the meeting we held today, one, the involvement of the media. After sometimes you finish IPAC meeting and especially the two leading political parties, they grant interview. And the takeaways they give in media interviews, sometimes you ask yourself, did we all attend the same meeting? What NDC is saying, what MDP is saying, and if you were in the room. But now the media, various media houses were there. So at least you have a third party that will help us tell the story. And I wish we go this way rather than going to the street, you know. Now, what EC is talking about is provisional registrar. But NDC is raising a very crucial issue. It's not, I've been to IPAC meeting, but this issue is new. The Pusiga story, where EC district official, now EC has confirmed it, was able to transfer voters without the knowledge of the voters concerned. It's a new practice as far as I'm concerned, and the years that have been part of the process. And I think the concern NDC is raising is, yes, you've corrected the Pusiga one, but how many more of such Pusiga stories or challenges might have been find their way into the registry? EC kept assuring us that we've tightened our IT system, we've done all. I think all of them must stretch their patience. EC has promised that in matter days and weeks, they are going to give the update or updated register to the parties. Maybe let us have that, and let's see what new things will be identified. But it will still be provisional. So while we are working on the provision according to the status, the parties, all of them, especially NDC, must stretch their patience. But today, for NDC to call for the involvement of the various media houses in IPAC meeting, and for EC and all the others to accept it, it's a plus for our democracy, and we salute all those people involved. And we should maintain what we witnessed today as we get closer to December 7th. Alfred.
So, Rev, and I get the sense that you have a certain sense of satisfaction. But then again, if you said the NDC must stretch its patience, especially in this call for an audit, the Electoral Commission was quite clear in its stance today that call for an audit is not necessary at this point and as we speak, because they have the legal and technical and technological processes in place to address those concerns, and that these errors identified are not new with regards to our electoral process. The NDC thinks otherwise. They make an example of the fact that if you have a leaking roof, you don't have to continue mopping it, change the roof, and then ensure that you don't have the leakages again. I mean, based on these two entrenched stands, what's going to happen next?
You see, the EC runs on status, CI, laws. And that's why I said all of them, especially NDC, must stretch their patience and operate according to the rules, according to the laws. In fact, this voter transfer, apart from Pustiga, we've had the Menchia one also, that a judge had ruled that certain reverse must be made. Now, I think that is where the NDC has opened our eyes that, hey, even though the IT people of Electoral Commission are good people, wonderful people, but there are still one or two among them who can go to the extent of, especially Pusiga, transferring voters without the knowledge. I think that is where the analogy, our dear brother and friend, Dr. Omanebo Ama, that where are the criminals and what other things are they capable of doing rather than waiting like a firefighting? You create one problem, you rush to solve it. Who are these criminals? Now the Pusiga man, he's been arrested. So my point is, EC is giving you provisional register, and you still have opportunity to engage them, your IT and their IT, and you still must put according to the law. Now, with what they have, with what we did today, it is a plus, something that has come from NDC to our electoral system that IPAC must be open to the media. It's a great achievement. All these years, we closed from IPAC, and the media people will set their cameras waiting for us. Now, for purpose of transparency, through this call by NDC, media is welcome. I will want us to stretch our patience in this direction, pushing our issues according to the status, the CI, rather than mobilizing people on the street that we are not getting what we want. Well, tomorrow morning.
And Rev, and just a bit before you go, you talk about in the spirit of transparency, right? And I want to find out from you if you would also support that call, that beyond the verbal assurances by the Electoral Commission that the processes are in place to deliver a credible, free and fair election, there's a call that they should open up their systems for the parties and then you, the election observers, to also have access to it, go through the IT system, know the back end, know the protocols, so that would also answer some questions, is it not?
That issue was raised. I don't remember that somebody raised this issue, one of the political parties, that the IT thing is a very technical thing for some of us in the room. So there must be another layer, another meeting where these IT technical people, I'm not sure the EC chair or said no to that. I'm not sure I heard a no from her.
I see. So the EC agreed at that meeting today that they're going to open up their IT system for the parties and yourselves to look into?
They have impression that they are prepared to open up. We are going to meet again. There's going to be another IPAC meeting, and all IPAC meetings, the media will be welcome. The next IPAC meeting, another subsequent IPAC meeting. And now that is the good thing when you have the media, because they have recorded everything and they'll play back. They'll give you your own words and feedback. Previously it was minutes and then now they will have voice, you have pictures. And that is a wonderful thing to me that happened today. And now UP is saying that we are prepared to clean, to continue, and anybody, as they give what they are about to give, the updated so it's provisional registrar. If it happens that we must, in fact, NDC must push for some of the things they did that we held today's meeting, but I think it must be based on the status. It must be based on the CI. We will end up improving our electoral system. And Alfred, you see, what we are witnessing this year, 2016, it was the same. Well, then MPP was in opposition, and they did either the same or worse. We had the same thing. They went to court. We had a Justice Crab, committee and all that. And if we get to a point that NDC must go to court, why not? But now that we are still dealing with the provisional registrar, I will store what I said earlier on, that let's stretch our patience and work according to the statutes, and through that even improve the electoral system. When we put people on the street, in fact, the 2016, that MPP put people on the street, somebody lost his eyes and eventually lost his life. So I would still suggest that let's sit down and pursue this healthy and more assuring processes rather than going to the street and the police will come and the struggle all over in the regions, raising tension. It doesn't help much. Alfred.
Reverend Oponi, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
My pleasure.
Reverend Dr. Oponi Frimpong is a former General Secretary of the Christian Council, also a senior lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, is a member of a group of election observers in this country.
We're still on election-related matters, and the Electoral Commission has been told to uphold the highest level of credibility and transparency in the conduct of the December elections. Some members of the clergy in Kumasi today embarked on a peaceful march to the Electoral Commission to offer their support and also remind the Commission to ensure a peaceful election. Our Ashanti Regional Bureau Chief Evans Inkum reports. And we'll bring you that later. But ahead of that, flag bearer of the NDC, John Mahama, has also charged religious leaders to show interest in social-political activities in the country. At a meeting to engage the clergy, he charged them to speak up about the events leading to the elections and after. Listen to what he said.
And so we'll do everything in our power to make sure that this election is peaceful. But I'll urge you not to sit passively and watch. I think that our clergy should get involved in the processes of the election. Nothing stops you from sending representatives as observers to the collation centers, to the polling stations to see how the count is going on. Nothing stops you from tallying the results yourself, putting in a tally system so that you can also tally the results, so that when there's controversy between us about what the results are, you will also be able to say, well, from the tally we got, we think that this is what's the actual result. The election is going to be, the tallying of the results is going to be done at different stages. First at the polling station level, then at the district collation centers, then at the regional collation centers, before the final tally is sent to the strong room of the Electoral Commission. And I hope that as a church and as a body of Christ, we will make sure that we are represented at all these levels of tallying so that we can observe for ourselves, how the election process has gone. In conclusion, by faith, I can confidently say that I have glimpsed the promised future of our country, Ghana. I believe that Ghana holds a special place in God's plan and has a prophetic destiny to fulfill. I'm reminded of Romans 9:16, which teaches us that success does not come by human will or effort, but by the mercy of God. I stand before you today, not as a former president, but as a son of your church, someone whose public and private life has been deeply shaped by my Christian values. I remain fully committed to the Church's upholding of the principles of integrity, humanity, humility, justice, and accountability. And as I pursue this righteous cause and seek the highest office of the land, I humbly ask for your prayers. Let us call upon God, who confirms his servants' words, fulfills his messengers' counsel, and knows the thoughts and intentions of our hearts. May he look favorably upon me as we approach the election, which is just 68 days away. The road ahead will not be easy, but we are ready.
Well, the former president also shared his thoughts on the anti-LGBTQI bill.
My faith does not permit same-sex marriages or relationships, nor does it endorse human-animal relationships, or does it allow people to change their gender as they wish. This is a fundamental belief that I hold and is grounded in my faith. I therefore assure you that the promotion of LGBTQ+++++ and all the pluses will have no place in our schools and communities. In addition to the above, the next NDC Mahama administration will undertake sound policies and programs that will ameliorate the suffering of our people, reset our economy, and restore our nation to the path of transformation and progress. At this juncture, please permit me to briefly enumerate just a few of the policies that our government will implement as part of our agenda to reset our country for shared prosperity and growth.
That was former President John Mahama. Well, the clergy responded to the call by the former president. Listen to the controversial prophet, Reverend Owusu Bempah, and exactly what he said about the former president, that he would actually win the 2024 general election. And you heard that Reverend Owusu Bempah. You're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. When we come back, Michael Ogudu will be bringing us the latest in business. Don't go away.
You can be fast, you can be old, but that doesn't mean you are the best. The tortoise tells it all. The tortoise is strong, wise, and reliable. Choose what represents the tortoise, and that is Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, CSO's Alliance advocates clear procurement plans for renewable energy investments in Ghana. We'll hear from the Natural Resource Governance Institute. I am Michael Ogudu. Please stay tuned. Thank you so much for your time. Straight into our top story, and the Natural Resource Governance Institute is calling for a clear procurement plan for renewable energy investments in Ghana, including strategies for financing key renewable energy targets. According to Africa Senior Program Officer Dennis Jedri, any future investments, whether in solar, wind, or nuclear energy, must undergo a competitive process to ensure value for money and proper analysis prior to procurement. He addressed the media at a CSO dialogue with major political party representatives on their manifesto policies on energy and petroleum sectors here in Accra.
If you say you want to develop 2,000 megawatts of solar, by which date do you want to do that? Because it's important in doing a proper analysis of these commitments. If you want to build dams on Kwalugu or on Pra River or whichever river, how much do you intend to let that cost? We have also raised a number of issues around the need to have a proper procurement system that works, particularly around renewable energy. Because we usually realize in many cases, like we had in the case of gas, that we will sign take-or-pay agreements and we end up indebting the country. And some of the financial crisis that we are seeing in this country is as a result of the energy sector. And so procurement within the energy sector is really important. And so we are making a proposal for the parties to put in place a clear procurement plan for renewable energy investments, including a plan for financing some of the renewable energy targets. For instance, if you have to do a nuclear plant, we expect that the process will be competitive. We expect that a value for money analysis will be done prior to the procurement of those plants, whether solar, wind, or nuclear.
So that was Africa Senior Program Officer at the Natural Resource Governance Institute, Dennis Jechere, speaking there. Away from that, lithium mining company Atlantic Lithium has raised concerns about delays in rectifying its mining agreement with the Ghanaian government, which is preventing the company from starting operations. The agreement for mining lithium at Ewoya was signed in October 2023, but Parliament has yet to ratify the deal. Lawmakers are reportedly addressing critical issues to ensure the country's long-term benefits and sustainability from the project. Speaking at the West Africa Mining Security Conference, Amanda Hassas, Finance Director at Atlantic Lithium, said the delay is significantly hindering the company's ability to begin operations swiftly.
Well, it has, because, rather than accelerating and getting into production as quick as we can, with the uncertainty that then makes us as a company be more careful about our money, be more careful about what we're doing. We're still working towards our permitting steps because that's really important. But, our exploration and our other activities are effectively slower. And if you can understand, getting set up and getting going is harder if you've kind of slowed down. So we've actually had a slowdown, and that will make it kind of harder to get into, or take longer to get into production.
She also stressed that the sharp decline in global lithium prices should create urgency to pass the agreement, warning that Ghana risks losing out of the deal's potential benefits. Since early 2024, lithium prices have dropped by nearly 22% following a record high in 2022.
Well, it's actually declined a lot. So the price is fairly, it's still higher than it was like 5 years ago, but, it's come off the huge high it was in 2022. So that kind of price reduction has also meant that lots of projects globally have actually stalled or stopped putting on excess production because of the low price. So there is an uncertainty around that. And we urge Ghana Parliament to actually ratify this. Let's get into production. Let's get these benefits. We've got 900 jobs in the local central region, many more indirect jobs, the fiscal changes, our community development fund. We have the support of our local community. All of the divisional chiefs, local chiefs and the paramount chiefs wrote to Parliament, came to the select committee. We are ingrained in our community and we're really proud of that. Let's just get this underway.
So that was Amanda Hassas. She is the Finance Director at Atlantic Lithium, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and Kelvin is on standby.
It's time for sports here on Hot Edition. My name is Kelvin Owusu-Ansah. Let's start from Antoine Semenyo, who's had a very bright to the Premier League season. Well, according to the statistics, with AFC Bournemouth's goals this season, he has scored 3 and assisted 1. The 24-year-old is averaging 0.6 goals per 90 minutes this campaign as compared to 0.4 last season. Well, here is Kwefare, who seems to be very much impressed with his overall play and how he can impact the performance of Bournemouth all season long.
Yeah, Semenyo's had a great start to the season. He looked good in spells last year, but he tailed off. Again, another one of those players that went to AFCON and following the tournament couldn't really regain the form that lit up the Premier League at the beginning of the season. But he's really trusted by Andoni Iraola, his manager at Bournemouth, and he's now become the key man. And in a league of inverted fullbacks and inverted wingers, he's a traditional winger that gets at his fullback and creates havoc in the opposition's final third. So he's a player that I expect to see big things from this season. And take that next progressive step in terms of becoming that player that we all expect. He's young, he's still a little bit raw in terms of his ability, but in terms of what he gives his Bournemouth side, it's not just the goal scoring and the assist, it's the outlet. And sometimes when Bournemouth don't have the ball and they're sitting deep and playing a low block, to have that outlet in Semenyo who can bring them up the pitch and create dangerous situations in the opposition's box, he's an invaluable player for Bournemouth.
So that is Kwafari on Antoine Semenyo. Let's move on away from that. And Dr. Randy Abbey has been speaking on the $100,000 bonuses for Black Stars Management Committee members in the 2022 World Cup. He explains the reason why the FA decided to make that move to those members who are on the various committees.
First of all, management committee members are not paid a salary or an allowance. So you could be on a management committee for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years. The GFA does not pay anything to management committee members as monthly allowance or sitting allowance, even when they attend meetings. It's not done. I've been a management committee chairman for God knows how many years. I have never been paid a monthly allowance by the FA by virtue of being a management committee member or a sitting allowance. It is when you travel with the team, everybody on the team is paid a per diem, and you are also entitled to the per diem just like anybody else on the team. And then this issue of management bonuses and all that, I think that a lot of fetish has been created about it, and we need to deal with it. Look, why do we pay a bonus? We pay a bonus for recognition of success. So success has been achieved, and we think that it ought to be rewarded.
So that is from Dr. Randy Abbey. He, however, goes on to justify the reason why these bonuses are rewards for these management committee members.
People hold people responsible when there's failure. Why must these people not be recognized when there's success? If you think that it is okay to hold people responsible when there's failure, why must you not see it as okay to reward those people when there's success? Today, who has been invited by Parliament here? Who? Who are those who are before Parliament today? Why have these people been invited before Parliament today? It is because Parliament believes that these are the people who ought to be held responsible. It's because petitioners and some leaders in Parliament believe that the people who run this association ought to be held responsible for the result in the association. So if you think that people hold their responsibility or must be held responsible for what happens, why is it that when there is success and you decide that you want to reward the team for success, you think that a particular group must be denied that? It is okay to hold them responsible when there's failure, but when there is success, they must be exempted.
Well, that is from Dr. Randy Abbey, a very perfect explanation to that. Well, now moving on to the Ghana Premier League. There are outstanding matches that will be coming up tomorrow. Ado Boaselencle and Asante Kotoko will play against CAF Confederation Cup debutants, that is in Swatraman. Ado Boaselencle. Also, Samatex are going to play against BBN Gold Stars. Asante Kotoko, SC captain and goalkeeper Frederick Asari, has been speaking ahead of the big clash tomorrow.
Expected from us, as it said, that home match is given, match is expected. So the fans are expecting, the supporters are expecting a lot from us, and we are also expecting a lot from ourselves. So going into this match is a win game. It's a win game. We are very determined, we are very focused, and we have to do this for them because we are not playing at Babayara, we are playing in Obuasi, and our cherished supporters come all the way from those places, some from Takrady and all that, to watch, and we can't afford to disappoint them once again. So we are assuring them of victory tomorrow.
Well, assuring of a victory tomorrow. That is from Frederick Hasari, Asante Kotoko captain and goalkeeper. Now to the UEFA Champions League. Some matches are currently ongoing. 60 minutes played. Salzburg are down by a 0-0 to Brest. And then VfB Stuttgart drawing 1-0 West Sparta Prague. 64 minutes in that game. The other matches that will be coming up: Arsenal against Paris Saint-Germain, Barcelona against Young Boys, Bayer Leverkusen against AC Milan, Borussia Dortmund against Celtic. There is Internacional against Red Star Belgrade, and PSV Eindhoven will be playing against Sporting Club de Portugal. Slovan Bratislava will play against Manchester City. All these games are kicking off at 7 p.m. tomorrow. There are matches that will be coming up, and our interest starts from the Aston Villa game, where boss Unai Emery discusses how his Villa side will be impacted by the absence of their captain John McGinn in the UEFA Champions League. They are playing against FC Bayern Munich.
The injured players, I know, is the worst for them at the beginning, and with these circumstances playing in Champions League, of course, every player they want to play matches like that, but we had to accept it, and I want the best player on the field tomorrow, and I want to face their best players, and I want to play with our best players, but accepting we have some players injured, but we are ready to compete.
Well, they are ready to compete, and you look at the other side, Liverpool will be welcoming Diogo Jota for the UEFA Champions League game with Bologna, but Federico Chiesa will not be available. Here is the pre-match remark from the head coach of Liverpool, Arne Slot.
Hi, Anna. Can you bring us up to date with the injury situation? I'm thinking we didn't see Jota or Chiesa at training today. What's there?
Yeah, Jorgo missed out of 2 sessions after the game against Wolves. I'm expecting him to be with us tomorrow, that he's available to play. Federico trained with us yesterday, came in today with some problems, and I'm not expecting him to be in the team tomorrow, which is a pity for us, but of course for him even more. He was looking forward to a Champions League night at Anfield, and especially because we face an Italian team, it's a pity for him, but he will be there many more nights to come for him.
So that is it there from Arne Slot. Now the other matches coming up tomorrow. Girona will be playing against Feyenoord, Shakhtar Donetsk against Atalanta. There is Benfica against Atletico Madrid, Dynamo Zagreb against Monaco. There is Lille against Real Madrid. There is RB Leipzig. They will be playing against Juventus, and Sturm Graz will be playing against Club Brugge. So these are the games that will be coming up. Let's move on to Manchester United, where the captain Bruno Fernandes has avoided a ban after the club successfully appealed against his red card in Sunday's loss to Tottenham Hotspur. The 30-year-old was shown a straight red card for a foul on Spurs midfielder James Maddison and would have faced a 3-match suspension for serious foul play. However, United have successfully argued that the decision to send him off was wrong, and Fernandes will now be available for his side's forthcoming Premier League games against Aston Villa, Brentford and West Ham. The incident came in the 42nd minute at Old Trafford, where Manchester United were trailing 1-0 against Tottenham Hotspur after slipping and sticking out a leg to catch James Maddison halfway up his shin as he went past him. Never a red card. This is my view, Fernandes told BBC Match of the Day after the game. I agree that it is a foul, though. So that is the latest information coming from the Premier League. That decision has been rescinded on Bruno Fernandes. And finally, Atletico Madrid defender Robben Lenormand has suffered a traumatic brain injury after a collision late on in Sunday's Madrid derby. The 27-year-old Spain international clashes with Real Madrid's Aurelien Tchouameni in stoppage time of the 1-1 draw at the Metropolitano. He received treatment on the pitch, and the club confirmed he has since undergone a series of tests and was assessed By specialists, it has been determined that he suffered a brain injury with subdural hematoma, bleeding caused by a burst blood vessel near the brain. So that is the current situation for Robin Lenormand. We wish him a speedy recovery. That will be all for sports here on Hot Edition. There is more sports news on 3news.com/sports. And also, you can follow us on 3 Sports GH across all the socials for a lot more. On also, YouTube, there's a lot for you that has been packaged. 3 Sports GH. Just subscribe and make sure you hit the notification button for a lot more sports content from 3 Sports. My name is Kelvin Ocansey. Hot Edition continues right after this.
The most comprehensive election coverage.
Top-notch presenters and well-versed analysts.
Dedicated reporters and correspondents in every nook and cranny across the country.
All the action, every incident reported. All the big stories covered.
All facts cross-checked. Every figure verified.
Every vote monitored and accounted for.
The numbers tallied, analyzed, and interpreted.
We have invested time and energy in order to bring you a comprehensive elections coverage.
The whole world will be watching us on TV, online, and radio.
Election Command Center. Facts, analysis, results.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Thank you very much, Billy Shan, for bringing us the latest in sports. Kelvin Ocansey for bringing us the latest in sports. And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Now, 3FM is learning that there's a building that has collapsed at the Teshi estate. We understand that there have been no casualties, but we do have on the line with us Alex Nate, who is a member of the PR department of the Ghana National Fire Service. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Beatrice. Thank you very much. Sorry for the noise in the background. There's another very serious domestic fire at Laboni that we are dealing with. So that's our appliances making the noise in the background. So pardon my
That's quite
the noise. Yeah.
That's quite yeah. So you tell us more about the fire. We understand it's around the Laboni Senior High School. Can you tell us more?
Yes, it's the road leading to Cowbank. So it's when you are even driving from the Laboni Senior High School heading towards the Cowbank, you see thick smoke in the air. So as it stands right now, we got our first appliance that got to the scene was Trade Fair. They were the same team that was at the Teshi to rescue the trapped victim. And so they had to proceed here to this fire. And then we had to call on our tender from the Flagstaff House to come and augment their efforts. We've got our station at Ministry to be on standby in case we need a third appliance to make sure that the fire is totally out.
Let me get it clearly. It's coming from the Laboni Senior High School.
Yeah, so it's closer to the Cowbank. It's closer to the Cowbank or behind the Republic Bank.
But it's not coming from the school.
No, it's not coming from the school. It's not coming far from the school. But then if you are driving from the school towards the Cowbank, you see thick smoke in the air.
You have an idea when this might have started?
Roughly about 30 minutes ago, that's when we received the call. So we quickly had to dispatch our team. Luckily, after they had effected the rescue at Teshi, they had got to days at Trade Fair when they had to be called in to proceed to this incident also. So about 30 minutes ago, and within 15 minutes, they got here from Trade Fair.
Now, you're telling us that it's not coming from the senior high school, Laboni Senior High School, but it's closer to the Cal Bank, which is also close to another bank, Eco Bank. Are you able to tell us which building in particular this smoke or fire may be coming from?
Okay, so there's a chain of residential buildings, TEF. That's the inscription on the wall. I'm here to gather more information as to what the building is used for. I have a feeling it might be used for both domestic and commercial purposes, commercial being an office. So that's what we're suspecting. And so I'll gather more information in the course of the firefighting.
But at the moment, can you tell us the state of it? Have you been able to contain the situation? What's the state?
So we are containing it. We realized that electricity was running through the area, which was hindering the performance of our duty. So I just realized that power supply to the area has been cut. So once power supply to the area has been cut, it will enable us to effectively fight the fire. So we are on it, and we've got other fire tenders on standby in case we need more fire tenders at the scene.
Quite serious there. Let me ask you my last question before I go to the one in Teshi. No casualties, hopefully.
There was a casualty, a carpenter in his 50s. A carpenter in his 50s was badly injured, and so we were able, due to the fact, and thankfully for the education and the support we've got from media houses like yours, drawing attention to the fact that we are the people to be called. Whenever there's any incident, they were called in early, and we were able to quickly get to the scene, and upon getting to the scene, we were able to rescue the man. Even though he's very frail and the chance of survival is very slim, we are hoping that due to our timely intervention, he should be able to survive. But at the time we rescued him from the rubble, he was breathing, but in a very, very weak state.
Okay, so I suppose you're talking about the building collapse in Teshi, but I was asking you about casualties in the fire at Laboni.
Oh, no. So the fire at Laboni, no casualties yet.
Excellent.
No
Excellent. So can you...
And we are working hard to make sure that we don't record any casualties.
Fantastic. But can you tell us more about what caused this building collapse? You've already told us that a 50-plus-year-old man, has been injured severely. But can you tell us the circumstances surrounding the collapse of this building?
Well, from what we gathered, he's a carpenter who, and they were flowing the building. For now, it's a single story. So they were flowing the building, and he had to... he was ensuring, he kept going in and out, ensuring that the flow was being done right. So I think there might have been a situation where part of the building was not fortified very well, and so forcing the building to cave in. And the fact that he was not in helmet was a worrying problem. What saved him was the fact that there was wood under this concrete, and he fell under the wood. Other than that, it would have been a different situation.
Are you able to tell us specifically where this building collapsed and whether or not it's caused any inconvenience, say, on the road or even your work?
So, unfortunately, it doesn't cause any inconvenience on the road. We were able to rescue him, and even at the time we were leaving, masons were still on site. And so, for now, people can still go about their normal duties within that area. And it's around just at the Teshi Estate Junction.
Thank you very much, Alex Nate.
Thank you for having me.
Alex Nate is with the PR department of the Ghana National Fire Service, bringing us update on two incidents: a building collapse in Teshi in the Greater Accra region, which has severely injured a man in his 50s, and fire around the Laboni Cal Bank and also close to the Eco Bank on that stretch. And he told us earlier that the fire service personnel on the ground currently working hard containing the situation. Power has been cut in that part of the area, so if you're not home yet or on your way to that part of the city, power has been cut due to a fire outbreak in a building there, and we'll get updates and we'll bring you that update as and when we have it.
pointed at any NDC person because I can never be angry against a fellow NDC person. I am angry because yet and from maybe last week okay demonstration from the democracy hub. What one young people was in Kogu prison and police cells. What for? Because they were exercising their democratic right. Granted that they exceeded their limits, kakra, but is that the reason why they should be treated as criminals, common criminals? They are warning them they were better one. But I can tell you, today, this year, 2024, is not 2020. If they try it, I am telling you, if they try it, what they will see is something that they don't want to see.
And he had the former National Security Minister Kofi Totobi Kwache. And that's it for Campaign Trail on Hot Edition. But before we go, investigations by health authorities have revealed that the polio virus identified in the eastern region is similar to a strain detected in Algeria. Although the source of the virus is not yet known, authorities are activating processes to roll out a mass polio vaccination campaign within the country with plans of synchronizing the efforts with neighboring countries. Program Manager for the expanded program on immunization, Dr. Kwame Amponsa Achiano, says the processes have already been activated for vaccines from development partners. Let's take a listen to exactly what he said in that interview with us earlier.
We pinpoint the source of the virus in the environment, but what we could find was that the virus is linked to a strain in Algeria, which has an ongoing outbreak. And we also have some outbreaks in the sub-region, and therefore, quickly we need to respond and protect our children. So we've had the initial partner briefing. I know the Director General's office has also issued the updates to the regions. So the regional level, district level should be aware by now. The past several weeks, we've been planning to execute a campaign to protect the children. Because when you know, as the adage goes, all courses will be about this sensuous. That's what we're trying to do. And then, lo and behold, we got hit by this environmental polio. So that even reinforces the fact that we need to be quick at it and try and protect the children.
Meanwhile, routine vaccination of all children against childhood killer diseases continues at various health centers.
And you heard Dr. Achiano speaking earlier to us and was wrapped up by Sarah Pinkro, who is on our health desk. And that's it for Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. I did this with Alfred Ocansey. Log on to 3news.com for more news. Have a good evening and do enjoy the rest of our programs.